Hello, greetings from Nigeria. I was asked to do a 3-minute video on the persecuted church in Nigeria. And what I decided to do was to take a video clip of one of the local pastors that we've been working very closely with. Just a quick report on the violence in Nigeria. We're very grateful that since the time of the elections, it seems like the widespread violence or the overall threat has become a lot less than what it was before. Just the overall mood of the country is a lot more relaxed. And we still hear about some violence that does happen. For example, last week there was a bomb that went off in Abuja. And there's also some isolated violence up in the northeast. The other thing that I wanted to mention, that even though we see that the immediate big threats have diminished a lot. Even this morning when we were in church, we heard some stories of some recent things that just happened that can give you an idea of how to pray. Some of the colleagues that I've been working with here, they've been doing evangelism in a Fulani village about 1 hour from here, and they've been able to start a small church. Recently, there were a few converts of young adults that they decided to send them to Jos, to remove them from their family, maybe because of worries of threats. I'm not exactly sure. The Muslim community in that village actually went to the pastor and started making threats to the pastor of that small church. And if these young people don't come back, then they're going to potentially burn the church and maybe even start burning the homes of the other Christians. So in the end, those young people that went to Jos, they came back to their village. They were taken back to their families, and their families have been holding them captive and beating them and persuading them to go back to Islam. And we had a nice time this morning in church just praying for some of those individuals and praying for that pastor. So here is the video of Pastor Amdale, and we miss you guys very much. We wish that we were in this prayer meeting with you.
Persecution of Christians started as far back as the 1960s, when the colonial masters left. In the early 90s, there was a situation where a lot of Christians were killed in places like Bauchi, Kano, and some part of Gombe because of their faith. Then in the early 2000s, places like Jos had situations of persecutions where Christians were killed and churches were burned down. But the whole thing became worse about 7-8 years ago, when the Boko Haram insurgents started operating. In the past 7 to 8 years, thousands of people have died. It's important to note that what we see on the media does not really reflect the reality that we face here on the ground. Hundreds of people die every day, and those are not reported. A lot of churches have been destroyed and even closed down. Some towns have been wiped out completely. The Christians have left. They have gone to different parts of the country. A lot of our members in churches have lost their beloved ones. We know of families that, like all the members except one, all the members of the families have been killed except one. And we know of women whose husbands and children were slaughtered right at their front. That has been happening for quite a long time. Even though it has not reached this town where I live, but it has affected a lot of our brothers and sisters who are working in other parts of the country, especially in the northern part of the country. But that is what we see as physical persecution. So here in Nigeria, what we experience as Christians is both physical persecution and non-physical persecution. So what is normally reported in the media is the physical persecutions. Right now, part of the severe persecution we face, which to me is even much more destructive, is the non-physical persecution. And that includes denying the Christians admission into public schools, especially higher institutions. A lot of our members in churches will apply for admission into schools, but they will not be given admissions, even though they are qualified. to go. And then you see a Muslim who is not even qualified getting the admission. The Muslims somehow have taken over most of these schools here in the northern part of the country. So we found out that a lot of our young people, they have their papers, they have good O levels, but they are not given admission, so they remain at home. And when they are given the admissions, courses like engineering, medicine, law are not given to our children. Another area is the area of employment. You see how young people will struggle to finish their higher education, but then they will not be employed. We become poorer and poorer while the Muslims are becoming richer and richer. And then they use their riches to win the heart of people to become Muslims. And I remember a situation some years ago that happened to my sister. She finished her university, she studied public administration, and she was looking for a job. And the guy that was in authority to decide her fate told her very, very clearly that he will only give her a job if she decides to become a Muslim. And then she said no, she won't do that. And he refused to give her the job. Another thing is the issue of owning a property. Like if you want to buy a piece of land in some part of the country, like here in Gombe, you find out that if they know that you are buying this land to build a church auditorium, they will not sell the land to you. They feel that their towns and cities should not have churches, but only mosques. So I know a situation in Kumo here in Gombe State where we were trying to plant a church. We wanted to buy the piece of land, but the guy refused to sell it to us. So one of us, a Christian, bought the piece of land from a Muslim, and then after some years he decided to hand it over to the church. And so when they saw that we were about to erect a church building there, it became a big issue. At the end of the day, they stopped us from building the church. Instead, a mosque was built in that place. Another area also is the media. The Muslims in northern Nigeria are really experts in using the media to do some kind of psychological reorientation and try to make things look as if everybody in the state or in that particular local government is a Muslim. I think it is very clear that the Muslims want everybody to become a Muslim. The Boko Haram insurgents are used as a force to Islamize the non-Muslims. Right now, you hear a lot of Muslims saying that Boko Haram is not a religious sect. They are not working for Islam, they are not working for Muslims. But we know, those of us that grew up in the north, we've been with them, we know that they are working for them. But at the beginning, the Muslims were in support of what the Boko Haram insurgents were doing. And at that time, the president was a Christian. When he wanted to fight the Boko Haram, they said, these are our children, they should be called for dialogue. So the former president didn't fight Boko Haram very well. We prayed to God and things changed. The Boko Haram insurgents started killing everybody, just everybody who is not part of them. And so now they're crying out for help, and, because everybody is now affected. But we know that originally it was they were targeting Christians. But one thing we know as Christians is that we love God, we love Jesus, and we'll stand for Jesus for the rest of our lives, no matter what. Jesus already told us in John 16:33 that in this world we are going to be persecuted, but that we should take heart because he has overcome the world.